My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Together. And if you know me, you would know that body horror is one of my favorite subgenres. Like, these types of movies typically have great practical effects, they're usually sick and nasty and gross, and they usually get you thinking about your own mortality. They get you thinking about just how fragile the human body is. And, like, some of my favorite ones are The Substance, Hellraiser, and The Fly. Those are the big three, but I also love From Beyond, Reanimator, Society, Color Out of Space. Just, but I say all this just as a reference point that this movie was made for me. I also believe that as of right now, it has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I went in with sky high expectations. And I didn't like it. The more I sit with it, the less I like it. It has its moments. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. So let's begin by talking about the cast. And Dave Franco does a good job. I don't think it's a great performance, but he carries the movie well enough, and he brought enough to his character. Then we've got Alison Brie, who also does a good job. Also, not a great performance, but she did what she needed to very well. And Damon Harriman, okay, when I first saw him, I just thought to myself, is that Hugh Dancy? And I'm like, it can't be. And, it's not, but he definitely reminded me of him. But I thought he did a perfectly fine job. And I do like the way this character was handled throughout. What he represented, how he ties into the plot, it's actually very smartly done. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a body horror movie, and it does have a few really gross moments, and there's some gnarly practical effects on display. The movie as a whole had lots of potential, but I found the story to be a mess. Like, I knew this movie was about this couple, these two people who get stuck together. So it should have been a rather simple movie that escalates very effectively. But they found a way to add all this other stuff, and it gets overly convoluted and it becomes really heavy-handed. And I was really underwhelmed with the story. And I found the whole aspect of this movie to be a bit frustrating because as much as I'll praise the practical effects, I'm pretty sure that there's some CGI here and it didn't look great. Some of the big moments lacked the impact that they so desperately needed, and I just don't think this movie was able to fully commit. Ironically. Like, if you're going to have a premise like this, go for it. There was one scene that was so good and it was building tension and I was on the edge of my seat. And then it just cuts away and we just didn't see the terrible gross act there. And, like, what are we doing? Like, that's what I go to a movie like this for. And you don't necessarily have to show every detail, but come on, like, at least hold on that moment for just a little bit longer. So I found that to be frustrating. And like, the movie began with this opening from Alison Brie and Dave Franco, and they're like, oh, this movie is fucked up. And, like, keep in mind, I've seen lots of fucked up movies, and, like, it has its moments, but I just felt so underwhelmed. I expected so much more. And I found the tone to be abysmal. Like, I'm okay for movies trying to be scary and funny, but the comedy always compromises the whole here, and I found the tone to be far too lighthearted for this kind of story. And there are some horrific things that happen, especially at the end, but they're not really played out as a horrific thing, and because of that, it just felt empty. It felt like it lacked that punch, and it was just a recurring issue for me throughout this movie. And, okay, I'm going to try my best not to give anything away here, but there was a big part of this movie about how Dave Franco and Alison Brie's character have been together for almost a decade, and he's kinda a loser, and he's kinda dragging her down, and he won't commit. And the direction that story point ends up going in, I found to be very tone deaf. I do not agree with what the movie is trying to say by the end, and there's just nothing romantic here. Like, if you want my opinion, here it is. If you can't commit to someone you're dating within a couple of years as an absolute max, then stop wasting your time, stop wasting their time, and just break it off. There's nothing romantic about insisting you be together just for the sake of it. That aspect of the movie really bothered me. So the script is a mess. I didn't like the message, I didn't like the tone, and it felt fully afraid to commit. But it does have its moments. There are scenes that got to me, and there are some cool practical effects, but you just look at the potential here, and it's just so frustrating that they wasted it. I don't see myself ever rewatching this movie. And, oh, by the way, the ending is a joke. You know what? Screw it. I'm giving Together a 4 out of 10. I really wanted to love this movie, but I don't. And it just should have been so much better. But have you seen Together? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.